The Christmas you celebrate began in total darkness. It's not just a figure of speech. Jesus was born at night, in the darkest hour, in a rejected place, surrounded by silence. No hospital lights, no photographs, just darkness, cold, and the feeling that the world had turned its back on him. And here's the question almost no one asks: why this way? If God was orchestrating the most important moment in human history, why didn't he fill the sky with light, palaces, honor, and recognition? Why the night? Why the anonymity? Because there is an uncomfortable truth that a superficial faith avoids facing. Often, God works with greater intensity when everything is dark, when you have lost control, when the doors have closed, when you are alone, without answers, without applause, without guarantees. The first Christmas was not a brilliant event. It was a birth in the shadows. And if you are currently experiencing your own emotional, financial, or spiritual winter, if it feels like God has disappeared and you are walking in the dark, this message is for you. Perhaps the darkness you are experiencing is not punishment. It may be preparation. Luke 2 records the birth directly, almost too simply. Mary and Joseph arrive in Bethlehem exhausted, probably at night after a long journey, because a decree from Caesar required everyone to register. It wasn't a choice, it was mandatory. When they arrive, there was no room for them in the inn. Door after door closes. They end up in an animal enclosure, possibly a stable or shelter area. There, while most sleep and darkness covers everything, the Savior is born. No artificial light, perhaps only the moon, a few stars, an improvised lamp. The first eyes of the Son of God do not see human glory. They see shadow, simplicity, harshness. And who are the first guests? Not kings, priests, or authorities. Luke says there were shepherds in the fields, watching over their flocks during the night watches. They were outside, in the dark, doing invisible and undervalued work. It is precisely there, in that nocturnal anonymity, that the sky opens, an angel appears, the glory of the Lord shines all around, and announces the birth. The light does not come to the palace, it comes to the countryside. It does not come to the powerful, it comes to the forgotten. God does not run from the darkness, he enters it. Psychologically, darkness is not just a lack of light, it's a lack of control, of security, of clarity, and that's frightening, because human beings love to control. We want to see the path ahead, plan the next step, be sure that if we do X, we will reap Y. When this breaks down, when life enters a tunnel and you can't see the way out, the mind goes into a state of alert. Today, darkness takes many forms. Losing your job suddenly, a relationship that ends without a clear explanation, a diagnosis that changes everything overnight, prayers that seem to hit the ceiling, maximum effort that yields no results. At times like these, the mind tends to do two dangerous things. First, it interprets darkness as abandonment. If God loved me, this wouldn't be happening. If I had any value, it wouldn't be happening to me. The night becomes a test of rejection. Second, it tries to produce its own artificial light. You force solutions, manipulate situations, accept any shortcut. But artificial light can't withstand a storm. Any stronger wind will extinguish it. Many studies in psychology show that moments of profound crisis, grief, or loss are, at the same time, those that generate the most inner growth when faced with support and meaning. The Bible already showed this. Generally, the greatest advances do not happen in bright days, but in dark valleys. In the light, you live on autopilot. In the darkness, you are forced to trust in something greater than your eyes. You develop faith, resilience, and depth. You stop acting and start being true. Darkness doesn't define you. It reveals who you are when no one is watching. This pattern appears all the time in the scriptures. Joseph is thrown into a pit and sold into slavery by his own brothers. Years later, he rules Egypt and saves an entire nation. The pit and prison seemed the end. They were the beginning of his rise. Moses spends 40 years in the anonymity of the desert, tending sheep, far from the palace where he grew up. It is there, away from the spotlight, that God reveals himself in the burning bush and calls him to liberate Israel. David is anointed king, but spends years fleeing, hiding in caves, treated as a criminal. In these caves, he writes some of the most profound psalms about God being light in the midst of night. Jonah reaches the darkest point possible, inside a large fish, at the bottom of the sea. Without light, without a way out, he makes the most sincere prayer of his life, and God repositions him. Jesus prays in anguish in Gethsemane at night. He is betrayed and arrested in the dead of night. When he dies on the cross, the text says that darkness covered the earth for a few hours. It's as if the whole world went into blackout while salvation was being won. And yet, John records that, while it was still dark, in the early morning, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb and discovered that the stone had already been removed. The resurrection also breaks forth in the dark. Do you see the pattern? God doesn't wait for the scenery to be beautiful to act. He acts precisely at night. That's why it's dangerous to believe in a faith that only associates God with a feeling of constant comfort. He cares about your well-being, but he's more interested in transforming you than in keeping you comfortable. And profound transformation rarely happens in the spotlight. It happens in secret, in dependence, in darkness. Look at your life now. Where is it dark? Perhaps it's in the finances, with bills piling up and no door in sight. Perhaps in marriage, with heavy silence taking the place of dialogue. Perhaps in healthcare, with exams, medications, and fear. Perhaps it's inside your mind, with anxiety and thoughts you don't tell anyone. The first Christmas tells you, darkness is not proof that God has left history. It may be a sign that he's working in a way you cannot see yet. When everything is clear, you delude yourself into thinking you're in control. In the darkness, you're led to let go, to say, I can't handle this alone. And it's precisely in this place that God uses to deepen the relationship. If Jesus had been born in a palace surrounded by light, the message would be, God is with the powerful, but he chose to be born in darkness. In simplicity, the message is different. God is with the forgotten, with the weary, with those who have lost their footing. Darkness becomes the place where you stop pretending, where masks fall, where you finally admit, I need help. And when you do that, when you stop creating artificial light and decide to trust even without understanding, something changes. The presence of God, which was already there, begins to be perceived. Not because he has arrived now, but because you have stopped running away. Psalm 139 says, Though I say, surely the darkness will hide me, even the night will be light around me. Darkness will be light to you. In other words, God sees in the dark as well as in broad daylight. Isaiah 45 verse 3 makes a curious promise. I will give you the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord. Hidden treasures. Where? Often precisely in the phases where everything seems concealed. The first Christmas happened in the dark because God wanted to make it clear, I don't just come when everything is shining, I come mainly when everything has gone dark. If you are in the dark today, emotionally, financially, spiritually, don't interpret this as automatic abandonment. See it as a scenario where God may be building something that, for now, you cannot see, and in due time you will understand why you needed to go through this. If this message resonated with your reality, write in the comments, God is working in my darkness. Share this with someone you know who's having a long night. And subscribe to the channel to continue exploring these stories, where the Bible, mind, and real life intersect. Grace and peace.